Yo, what is up everybody? Jumpin' here, and today I am back on some Monster Hunter Wilds, and I wanted to show off my Gunlance tank build. This is actually using the new armor set from Title Update 1, and I have really amazing health regen. Now you're not going to be able to see it in this first clip here because I don't even think I get hit. Now I wanted to show this clip though just because sometimes all it takes is a trap. I put down a pitfall trap and then at that point this monster just never got back up. He was completely locked down, which is one of the best things about Gunlance. I think Gunlance is my favorite weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds, and that's kind of surprising. I did not expect that, but I love the ability of Gunlance to use a bunch of really comfortable utility skills, and also it's tanky. You could do a lot with your build on Gunlance. I will show a version of this which is purely offensive. It uses peak performance, which does make a lot of sense using health regen. But I don't really use that build all that much, to be honest, just because I think this is my favorite build in the game. I know that when I pick this build, I should be fine. I have a shield, I can block most things, but if I do get hit, my health is going to regen really quickly. And Gunlance is just a lot of fun. I find it to be pretty epic. There's just so many times where I'm like, man, this just feels awesome. And I personally like my builds to feel really good. Alrighty guys, well now I'm going to break down the build for you and tell you everything you're going to want to know. Alrighty, well here's my tank build. I'm using 4 pieces of the Zoshia set, which is the new set from Title Update 1. This will give you super recovery. If you have 2 pieces of it, it's okay, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference. When you have 4 pieces of it, it does actually regenerate pretty nicely. But there's one more thing you can do to help that regeneration, and that is use recovery up. Now you have a couple options here. There's not a lot of level 1 slots on this build. There's only 3 of them. So you could just use 3 medicine jewels and not use the shockproof jewel. Now I like co-op. I like to do SOSs. So I do generally like to use the shockproof jewel just because I don't want to knock anyone over. And when you do your Wyvern Blast, it can knock over teammates. And that would probably frustrate them. Now I would make an argument though about shockproof. If you're going to complain about people not using shockproof, why are you not using shockproof? Because it goes both ways. Just saying. Now, one thing about this armor is that it works really well with the Gunlance. Gunlance, you don't have to care about crit chance, so it just gives you a lot of freedom. The armor set will give you 5 points of agitator, which is really nice. Now, if you go for the alpha Greaves instead of the beta, everything else is beta. I have alpha here because it comes with 2 Counter-Strike. I'm a big fan of Counter-Strike. You get hit, you can actually trigger this yourself if you plant one of the small barrel bombs. But if you get hit ever, it almost always triggers. It's got a really long duration and it's just going to help your damage overall. So it's pretty nice. Now I do like Evade Extender. I like it a lot. Whenever I'm using Gunlance and I don't have Evade Extender, it kind of drives me crazy because the monster, it might go really far away from you and trying to evade and get over to the monster takes forever. With Evade Extender, it really cuts that down a ton. Earplugs, you only need 2 levels of it. You will become immune to most of the roars in the game. There are some that will still get you, but the ones that do, you are only stunned for like a second, maybe a half a second. And that's a lot of DPS too, because you just don't have to care about the roars. Whenever a monster goes for the roar, go for one of your combos. And you should be able to get it off. And that is super cool. Now, I do like Burst. Burst works really well with the Gunlance. You do one of your combos, instantly you will get Burst going. Every single time. It is super nice. The Gunlances that I recommend, if you are new to Gunlance and you're just starting out and you want to learn the weapon, I would highly recommend the Fire Chicken Gunlance because you can get it really early whenever you get to high rank, and it is a normal shelling Gunlance. And the reason why that's important is because it's got a lot of AoE, you will probably not miss your combo, and generally with the Gunlance, you just want to spam your main combo, and I will go over that. Now the best Gunlance in the game is the Guardian Arcvale Gunlance. It's a wide shelling, it just does the most damage. So you can use this one as well, but I really like the Fire Chicken Gunlance. It's just one of my favorites. And there is a new one that came out with this update, which is very similar, but I would not recommend it. It is this one, the Zoshia Gunlance. It comes with that new White Flame torrent, but that does not trigger off of shelling. If it did, it would be insanely overpowered. It will only trigger off your actual lance attacks, and generally when you're doing your combo, you will only do one hit from your lance. Everything else is shelling. The talisman is the chain charm for the burst, but you could actually use a different one here. You could use the recovery up charm if you wanted to just get the recovery up that way, and then you can just slot in a whole bunch of level 1 decos, including the shockproof charm. And then finally, I'm using the melting mantle because this is nice. They buffed it, they extended its duration, but whenever I take a lot of damage, like man, I just got hit super hard. Normally, instead of taking the time to put away my Gunlance and then drink a potion, I'll just put this on, and I know, at least for 80 seconds, I'm going to be almost unkillable, because this will fully heal you continuously. Super, super nice. Now, the other build that I want to go ahead and show, I will load it up right now, is pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that instead of all of the utility stuff like evade extender and also earplugs, I go for more damage. It has 5 agitator, 4 burst, 3 counter strike, and then 5 peak performance. Now I'm using these gauntlets, this is the alpha version, because I want it for the peak performance. It comes with quick sheath, which is actually not bad for Gunlance. You want to be able to put your weapon away quicker. But yeah, it works. And again, you could throw in the recovery up, which I'm surprised I don't have that in here. I must have not have saved it. Uh-oh. Well, I did the same thing basically with these level 1 slots. I went for the medicine ones. And yeah, I think this is better. If you're going to use peak, you want to be able to have that regen as quick as possible. That way you can get the peak performance back. You can also use your mantle as well. The mantle is super good with peak performance. The problem is that peak performance is kind of not worth it in my opinion. Let me go ahead and show you. You only get 20 attack. This should be buffed. One reason is because Counter-Strike, which lasts for quite a while, is 25, and all you have to do is get hit, and you can trigger it yourself with a small barrel bomb. I don't really get it. I think peak performance should probably be like 30 raw. That would make a lot more sense to me. Now, I will go over the combo with the Gunlance, but I'll also show you the best ways that you can spam your shelling and get the most DPS out of it. Alrighty guys, well the first thing I want to talk about is the health regen on this build. So let me go ahead and show that, but I would recommend using a immunizer, which is an item. Now, if you don't have a lot of these, you can craft them, but you can also go ahead and go to the Scarlet Forest. If you make it nighttime and plenty status, and then you go to the Woodwood hideout and you talk to them, you can trade monster tails for well done steaks and immunizers. So you get a whole lot of these pretty much for free. Now, once you have that buff, let me actually plant some bombs too. Then what's going to happen is that it's going to allow my red recovery health to come back super fast. If you combine the item with recovery speed, which I only have 2 levels of it, it doesn't really matter though, 2 levels is more than enough. That's going to allow that red health to come back so fast. And then once that's back, my actual health can start recharging. So I really, really like this build. Just because look how fast that is. And now you can actually see that's a decent recharge of my health. It's not really slow. And the difference between recovery up / having 2 pieces of the set versus 4 pieces of the set, it's huge. There is a huge difference there. Now let me go ahead and teach the basic combo for the Gunlance and also how to unleash all your shells to get the most damage out of it, especially if you are newer to the weapon. Now your main combo is your Worm Stake Full Blast combo. Now to do this, the first thing you have to do is just do some shelling. It doesn't matter if you're stationary and you do shelling or if you do some directional shelling, don't make a difference. But once you do that, then you need to follow it up with forward and melee. So if I do that right now, it's going to do moving wide sweep. After moving wide sweep, I can then hit triangle circle, and that's going to unleash the first part of my combo. Oh, oops, I hit triangle. Well, if you hit triangle, you can go ahead and use your Worm Stake. So let's try that again, and this time I'm going to hit triangle circle, and now I'm doing Worm Stake Full Blast. At this point, there's a second part of the combo. To do the second part, all you got to do is just go ahead and keep tapping circle or triangle. It doesn't make a difference. Another thing I should point out is that whenever I am doing the combo, I normally try to use focus mode because the monster might move around, and you would be surprised on how awesome focus mode is really with Gunlance. You can kind of treat this like a gun. And if you do, then yeah, you can aim a lot of these shells that I'm unleashing. Now another big part of your DPS with Gunlance is your Vibrant Fire. To do that, all I have to do is block and then hit triangle circle, and I can do my Vibrant Fire. One little trick with this is that whenever you're doing your Worm Stake combo, and you stick the monster with the Worm Stake, so I'll just do the first part of it, I can then go ahead and do my Vibrant Fire, and it should actually charge up a lot faster. Now, when you do Vibrant Fire on the monster, I highly recommend using focus mode, because the monster might move. If it does, you lose a lot of damage. Vibrant Fire can hit for like 800 something damage, which is kind of like a greatsword. And if you combine that with all of the other shelling damage that you do leading up to it, you are doing some really good DPS to the monster. Not to mention you're creating a ton of wounds, you are also breaking wounds, you are tripping the monster. It's good stuff. Now if you ever see the opportunity, which is something that I don't see other Gunlance players doing, and I'll be surprised by that because I'll see the opportunity, I'll start to do it, and they will never do it. So I just don't think people think about it much. But if there's a ledge and the monster is close to the ledge, especially if you can knock the monster over or trap the monster, you can just keep hopping off the ledge, and if you do your shelling, you will do aerial burst. And you can actually do this pretty fast. So it will add up very quickly, and this will recover your Vibrant Fire pretty crazy fast. Because to get your Vibrant Fire back, you just need to hit the monster with shells. That's it. So the quicker you can unload your shells, the better. The whole goal is to try to hit the monster with shells to get the damage, and then hit the monster with Vibrant Fire to get the big damage. Now there is another option if you want to unleash all your shells at once. You have some options from the bird. You have your dismount attack, which if you do your normal dismount attack, you can actually reload the Gunlance if you need to. At least you can unload the shells. So if I just jump off and hit R2, that's my normal dismount attack. And if I do that, and then I hit circle after the fact, I can unleash all my shells at once. This is a very awkward area, in my opinion, for riding this bird. It keeps climbing up everything. Okay, well, I'm messing that up. Sorry. Let me do this one more time. I'm going to do the dismount attack this time, which is triangle circle. If you do triangle circle while you're on this, you will unleash all your shells. Normally, I do that. I don't really do the mounting attack. I leave that up to teammates. Since I always play in co-op, somebody at some point is going to get a mount. I don't really have to worry about it all that much. But for the most part, this is what you need to try to master on the Gunlance. Just spamming your combo. Alrighty guys. Well, that's going to do it for the little tutorial here and the build. I really hope that you have enjoyed it and it has helped. If it has, will you please like the video for me? Be sure to subscribe for future videos and check out the gameplay at the end. I'm going to be using the tank version of the build, but I will be doing a lot of these little tricks I just showed you now. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day, and peace out.
Good to have you. weather is unrelenting. I'll just have to tough it out.